Namo Phat, good morning. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The second mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I vow to cultivate loving kindness and learn ways to work for the well-being of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I will practice generosity by sharing my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in real need. I'm determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. I will respect the property of others, but I will prevent others from profiting from human suffering or the suffering of other species on earth. Dharma lesson today is Memories, Visions, and Unusual Experiences by Ajahn Thiradhammo from Working with the Five Hindrances. In the course of the meditative process, we may come across experiences other than the five hindrances. For example, obsessive memories which cause distraction from the meditation exercises may arise. While they may appear not to relate directly to any particular hindrance, they may be a hindrance or other defilement in disguise, which we are not yet able to recognize. Generally speaking, if something keeps on arising in the mind, this usually means that the self has some special investment in it, or it contains some important significance. When the mental environment is suitable, it can be very useful to investigate it further, and hopefully it may reveal its true meaning. One memory which kept recurring for me was of the time when I was working in a factory as a summer job to pay for university. Most of the time the students were given the lowest job on the seniority scale, requiring the least experience. However, one time I was promoted to a more senior position on the assembly line, but due to a misjudgment on my part, a problem arose, which caused the assembly line to be temporarily obstructed. This incident seemed fairly innocuous, and yet it frequently appeared during my meditation in Thailand. Finally, I decided to have a closer look at what this was about, and began to investigate its various aspects. After some time, it suddenly hit me that the real message in this story was about my arrogance. As soon as I saw this, I literally felt as if someone had punched me in the heart. I felt a real physical jolt. My thinking was, arrogance? No, not me. I'm the most humble person on the planet. However, the message from this meditative insight was otherwise, and I had more trust in that. The problem was due to my arrogance in thinking I was so intelligent because of my university education, compared to almost all of the factory workers who were not well educated. Once I could integrate this painful insight, the memory faded away and no longer intruded into meditation. Sometimes during meditation, other phenomena may arise. For example, different images, visions, lights, or strange sounds may suddenly arise and persist for a time. Some of these phenomena are due to the effects of increased concentration and awareness. We are more aware of sense impressions, and they are amplified by concentration. Others are due to distortions in our so-called normal perceptions. When we are in a quiet environment with eyes closed for periods of time, our usual everyday perceptions are not reinforced, and different types of perception are picked up. If you do feel disoriented or seriously disturbed by phenomena such as these, it is best to open the eyes, bring the attention to the body, and generally try to ground yourself in the here and now present reality. If they are very extreme, it is good to engage in some very grounding physical activity, raking leaves, sweeping, gardening, talking to people, etc. The first year I was in Thailand, I had a hut near a waterfall. This was fine in the dry season. However, when the monsoon came, the falling water became very loud and turned into music. It became so dominant that I literally couldn't hear myself think. It caused me to be quite disoriented, since I couldn't tell whether the music came from the falling water or from my own mind. Eventually, I had to move to a quieter hut. A common experience for people who do intensive meditation is unusual bodily sensations. Some of these, too, are due to perceptual distortions. However, some may also be due to physical discomfort or health problems, or be psychosomatic. Thus, it may be good to consider some of these sensations carefully. The body does take some time to adjust to a cross-legged sitting posture, and perhaps changes in diet or routine. However, if symptoms persist, it may be worth consulting a health professional. Sometimes we may have an underlying health problem, which is not obvious in our usual active lifestyle. Other times, it's just the body's natural processes of adjusting to another mode of living. It can be helpful to know something about basic anatomy in order to understand better what goes on in the body. When I first started to do long sittings, I was bothered by my leg falling asleep. I thought this was due to constricted blood circulation and was worried that it would cause serious damage. I imagined getting up one day and my leg falling off. Fortuitously, a doctor came to stay at the monastery, and I was able to ask him about it. He said that it wasn't due to constricted blood flow, but rather to a constricted nerve. I asked him if there would be any long-term damage, to which he responded, "Maybe, if you sit for 5 or 6 hours." The best advice on dealing with unusual experiences in meditation is what I received from Ajahn Chah. Because they are unusual, we normally become interested in knowing what they mean. Is this a sign of progress? And some teachers take an interest in visions and try to interpret them. However, taking interest in them is a subtle form of grasping, which will prolong and perhaps even encourage them until we are stuck on them. Ajahn Chah said, "They are sabhava dhamma, natural phenomena, which arise normally in the course of meditation. Don't take them too seriously. Observe them objectively and go back to the meditation object." By not being so preoccupied with them, we come to view them with less interest and they cease to attract our attention. Some will then simply fade away through our lack of interest, and some may begin to unravel and reveal the real meaning. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.